If you are here today and this is the first time you are finding out this is PD 101, and you have been coming to these for a long time, you could probably come up and present better than I could about Parkinson's. But we thought we haven't done one presentation on Parkinson's for a bit, on the basics, and so we thought we would start our year off, because we're going into September when everything is going to get busy, with a little re-education about Parkinson's and some updates. Am I loud enough for those in the back? Am I good? Okay. So again, this is PD 101, back to the basics, for Parkinson's community members, family, friends, paid and unpaid caregivers, and students. So real quick though, up on the screen, just want to show you the website, our beautiful website. And if you've gone on to try and register for the Parkinson's Power Summit, sometimes you can't always see it, so I just wanted to go to the page and click. You have to scroll down and click, and there is the registration page. And registration is open, and this works really well. If you want to do it online, you can fill this out and send it to me and then pay there, or you can register and then send in a check as well. But I just wanted to show this page. There's been a little bit of confusion on some of the workshops. Now, just Exercise for Parkinson's Essential Oils and Bionic Brain Club are for sure going to be talked about. Sleep neurology might be in a workshop, or it might be one of our local neurologists talking about it in the morning with our panel. So as we find out how many people are coming, last year we had 300 people. We had it set up one way with breakout. If we go over 300 people, yay, let's hope, then we're going to change the schedule around. But all of those speakers will still be speaking, so you'll still be getting those topics. So if you mark them, it's a little confusing with the different things there. So I wanted to show you that. Okay. And just remember, hold or write down your questions until the end. When we go around after a quick presentation about Parkinson's and a couple of really nice videos that I've found, we'll open up the mics after that and do our question and answer and things like that. I also wanted to show you, in case you are part of social media these days, which is a good and a not so good thing sometimes, there are links here as well to the registration. The new calendar is up from today through the middle of September. So please, and on the website tonight, these will be updated through hopefully the end of September, but all the activities are starting back up here pretty soon. So I just wanted to show you that as well. Okay, Parkinson's. Let's, from the beginning. First of all, this is a disclaimer for those of you who have either been here or never been here but have not been diagnosed yet. I'm not a doctor. What I tell you today is not a diagnosis. If you have symptoms that you see or have seen in somebody else, and or have questions, make sure that you go and see your general practitioner, neurologist, or movement disorder specialist before you are self-diagnosing. Just again, I have a master's degree in internet marketing, so I am not a doctor to tell you that you have Parkinson's. One of the reasons we're doing this is, again, back to the basics, is because getting diagnosed with anything can be scary. We know that Parkinson's can last for a long time, but we know that Parkinson's itself is not what takes us from this world. A lot of times it's another complication with symptoms that around Parkinson's. There's things that we all need to know with Parkinson's and without Parkinson's about that'll help us live long and active lives. So I'm just going to go over some things, and I appreciate you being here. So throughout this presentation, you'll see PD 101, that's Parkinson's disease, just to kind of go over a few things. A couple of numbers really quick about Parkinson's. This number hasn't changed a lot, but there are approximately 60,000 adults diagnosed with Parkinson's each year in the U.S. The average age now of diagnosis is 58. It used to be 65. So either diagnosing is getting better or we're getting symptoms earlier on. But those diagnosed, approximately 10% are ages between 21 and 40, and that number really hasn't changed too much, but we're just, again, I think getting better at diagnosing. With Parkinson's here in the Inland Northwest, Spokane alone, there's about 5,000 people with Parkinson's, and you know, that number, that's a huge number, but also there's 5,000 family members, spouses, caregivers, plus that are also affected by Parkinson's. So just keep that in mind, that's why we're here. Let's see. I like this line. That line on top is directly from somebody who has been at the Parkinson's Resource Center. I don't like it, but it's a good representation. My doctor diagnosed me with Parkinson's disease, but it was a bit of a shock. I don't know that I heard everything that the doctor had to say about it. And that's one of the reasons that we're here today. What is Parkinson's disease? Parkinson's disease is classified under an umbrella of conditions called movement disorders. If you were to look up movement disorder, you will see Parkinson's disease, ALS, I believe Huntington's, but I could be wrong about that. Sometimes MS will be in there, and sometimes it will not. And a few other, dystonia is another one, and a few other that if I tried to pronounce them, I would really ruin it, so I'm not going to. Specifically in Parkinson's disease, the cells in a person's brain that produces dopamine, a chemical required for movement, slowly deteriorates. As these dopamine-making cells are lost, PD symptoms begin to show, and over time the disease progresses and worsens. Experts that study PD have found that 80% of dopamine-making cells are lost by the time PD is diagnosed. So, they're working on getting better at recognizing the symptoms earlier on. So there's no blood test for Parkinson's. You can't walk into the doctor's office and hand them a vial of blood. Excuse me, not hand. They will take it from you. And they can't look it up like lupus. They can't look it up like many other diseases. But they're working on tests where they can. I've heard of tests where they can use skin cells from the calf to see markers that show that Parkinson's is possibly in your genetics. Doesn't mean you will get it. It just means it might be in your genetics. There's amazing things that are coming out. Physicians who diagnose PD look for the main motor signs of PD. We'll come up to those in just a minute. Other signs that indicate PD are that the symptoms started on one side of the body or are worse on one side of the body, and the symptoms respond well to PD medication. Research studies are also showing that loss of sense of smell in some people might be an early indicator. And I just added this bottom one because I was watching a video, and we tend to forget about this one, but a change in handwriting. Handwriting getting smaller and smaller over time. So those are some new things that they're looking for as you go in to visit with your neurologist, and hopefully getting a diagnosis for those symptoms. So what are the symptoms of Parkinson's? It varies from person to person. Nobody is the same. Just we're all different on a larger scale, but Parkinson's affects every single person in this room a little differently. But there's four main areas that a doctor, those main symptoms that it mentioned, there's four main areas that they will look at when they're in the doctor's office with you. And I don't have a video of that, but sometimes it's kind of helpful if you've gone into the doctor's office with somebody with Parkinson's, or I've been lucky enough to go in and do a clinical one day. It's kind of amazing to watch them do a diagnosis with Parkinson's, because it's a lot of testing with by walking and seeing how you walk and seeing how you move and stand. And I think one video even talks about how they pushed a gentleman back to see about how his balance was. So if you can, and you have a doctor who is really zeroed in on noticing those symptoms, it's always best. But we live in a time where we don't always have those doctors right close to us, so we have places like the Parkinson's Resource Center. But as you know, tremor is probably the most common, most looked for symptom in Parkinson's. But actually, of the symptoms, only 30 or 40% of people have a noticeable tremor. But that's usually what almost everybody thinks about when they think of Parkinson's. Stiffness and rigidity. So that kind of speaks for itself, but that's another one that they look for. And sometimes that stiffness and rigidity when you're first being diagnosed might be something that shows up in an arm that doesn't swing when you walk, or after sitting for a long period of time, your muscles and get stiff and it's harder to get up. Those are a couple things. Bradykinesia, slowness of movement. I will let that one speak for itself. Postural instability, and this one comes up a little bit as symptoms advance. This tends to show up more as you're compensating for your balance, but it's also one of those symptoms that tends to get people into the doctor because they've had a fall or they've had something and they don't know exactly why. But Parkinson's isn't just what you can see. In fact, most of the time, Parkinson's, if you've been diagnosed and you're on medication that works for you and things, Parkinson's isn't something you really notice. You'd almost have to wear a sign that says, I have Parkinson's. I know a lot of people who come in and you would not guess. So Parkinson's affects other things. It affects the inside of the body in many different ways. And so a lot of times these will also help with a diagnosis of Parkinson's, but they also might not begin showing up until after diagnosis and far, far into the future as your body progresses in the Parkinson's disease. Oh, and then, so this is one of the biggest questions I get at the Parkinson's Resource Center. When I take a phone call, for the most part, I get a lot of calls from those with Parkinson's, but I get more calls from those who are caring for somebody with Parkinson's or a family member. And a lot of times it's children or spouses. And especially at the beginning of a diagnosis, the biggest question is, how did I get this? What caused this? And, they are moving forward on that. There's organizations like the Michael J. Fox Foundation that are working all the time on trying to figure out what exactly triggers it. But they know that they're finding that there's several factors, and environment combined with genetics, family history is probably where it comes from. Okay, so environment, you might be in a rural environment where you are farming and you've used chemicals on the land to help the soil. But then in your genetic makeup, you might have had an uncle and a grandpa who had either Parkinson's or palsy, depending on when they were diagnosed and what it's called. And something in there, when the two come together, triggers. But other people get it without either any of those being into, the family history or the environment. Age. One of our speakers, Dr. Leverance, used to talk about not necessarily Parkinson's, but Alzheimer's and dementia. Age is a factor in everything. And as we get older and as we are living longer, age is creating a world where there's a higher chance of getting something like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's just because we're living longer. 50 years ago, the average age was more, average lifespan was more in the early 70s. Now it's getting up into the early 80s, and so we're living longer and our bodies get worn out. And the ethnicity is one that I might turn to that in our PD 101 book, which, by the way, I have copies of the PD 101 for anybody here who would like to take one home. It's an actual book that I don't know if I'm on the screen. Yep, there I am. So it's an actual book that our board of directors wrote up, a few years ago. It's also on our website. You can download it and read it on your computer, or you can download it and print it out. But what it says about ethnicity: Caucasians have a higher rate of PD than people of African or Asian descent. That's interesting because, let's see, how many people because China is so populated. China has the largest population of Parkinson's in the world, but it's because they have so many people, even though they're less likely to get it. So that's the one I will read from the PD 101 that you can have later on if you want. I did my little Vanna moment. So Parkinson's disease is a disease where symptoms advance over time and are progressive. Everyone's symptoms advance at a different rate. Some people live 30 to 40 years with PD and still maintain a great deal of independence. Others have more severe symptoms and higher level of disability within 10 years. In fact, as many of you know, symptoms might be around for years and years before a diagnosis. That's what makes it hard to diagnose the disease of Parkinson's, but they're getting better at it. And it doesn't say it anywhere in here because right now it's not true, but we're hoping that someday soon it will be true. But there currently is no cure for Parkinson's. They're working on it, though. They're working really hard on Parkinson's and ALS and a lot of different, everything that they can. So until that cure is found, we do know that symptoms can advance and generally worsen, but there's that can happen over a long period of time, and in some people a shorter period of time. So again, everybody's different. But there's things that you can do after a diagnosis that can help you. You have to be careful, slowing the progression, but that can help manage your symptoms to live a really full and active life. And so what can you do? If you have a general practitioner who believes that you have symptoms that might be Parkinson's, first thing is to see a neurologist. And if you can, jump right to them seeing a movement disorder specialist. Now, because where we are at in Washington and in the Northwest, we don't have a huge number of movement disorder specialists, but we are very lucky to have two. So if you can, getting in to see either one of those, but there are movement disorder specialists around the Northwest that are very good, and recommending that you see them if at all possible. And some people we now work with, they'll see a doctor, a neurologist here in Spokane or in Tri-Cities or other areas, and then they will actually travel once a year to meet with a movement disorder specialist. A movement disorder specialist is somebody that takes an extra 2 years to learn about movement disorder, and we specifically Parkinson's, if that is their chosen field that they go into. You can take medication and surgical. There's a surgical option as well. It's called deep brain stimulation. Many of you have heard of it. Many of you have had it done. Those are options. Generally, the surgical options are down the road a little bit after diagnosis, but they're starting to consider them earlier. Medication works differently for everybody, and it's working with your doctor's team on finding what works with for your Parkinson's. Supplements. I'm not going to go into detail on some of these again because I'm not a doctor. Supplements, there's CoQ10 that you hear about. There's a video I'm going to show you in just a moment that he's kind of funny about that actually, but there are some supplements that some people find help them. Then I'm going to jump down to therapies: physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, alternative therapies, music therapy, acupuncture, massage therapy, meditation, tai chi, yoga, laughter therapy. There's many, many things that we can do. Of all of the things above exercise and nutrition, what they show possibly slows the progression of Parkinson's is keeping active. One of our movement disorder specialists will say that he doesn't really care too much what it is. It can be gardening for an hour, it can be boxing, it can be walking, swimming, but keeping active, getting out, interacting with other people, those are all things that are recommended. And they have, especially cycling, which I don't have up there, and some people, they're gentlemen, the video I will show, running. There's different things that people find that work for them. And again, everybody's different. So somebody might work for one person, but not for another. But that's the beauty of the support group and having the resource center, is that you can talk to people about those different things that they can try. And again, he funnily says something about that. But it is your job as a Parkinson's community member to own your diagnosis. And that's sometimes hard, but there are many, many resources, not just here in Spokane. So I'm with the Parkinson's Resource Center, so I'm going to put that one up there. But there are resources all over the country. There's Northwest Parkinson's, there's American Parkinsons Disease Association, there's the Davis Finney Foundation, Michael J. Fox Foundation, National Parkinson's Foundation, Parkinsons Disease Foundation. The reason that there are so many of them is because we need support to work together, and by having those supports, we can find out what works for us in our diagnosis. So on the side of being busy and keeping active, it is our job at the Parkinson's Resource Center to have as much of activity as possible, and as many different types of activities as we can find. And so, this calendar is 6 weeks out, but we have everything from a new group called Happy Dance. On here, it's music, theater, and more with Donna Douglas, but it's music, chair dancing, theater, reading plays, and it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy listening to it. I work the whole time they're doing it, and I start singing the songs. But tremble clefs and Dance with Parkinson's will start up. We have yoga that's been going on for about 6 weeks now. We are blessed with having a Tai Chi class that will start in September. And there's so many different things to stay busy, and one of them may be right for you in helping you stay busy. And so now, this first video I'm going to show you, this gentleman reminds me of our board president, Ian Riley, and some of you might remember him. He's been here once or twice and talked, but he will talk at the beginning about there's not a cure readily available, and he's not very happy about it. I don't think any of us are. But so his point of view, well, I just want to warn you that at the beginning he's a little bit harsh, but I understand why about not having a cure. But it's a very good video, and so I'm going to show you this one and one more. So let's see if it goes.
I didn't know much about Parkinson's. Occasionally you see someone in a restaurant and their hands are shaking, and you know unmistakably that that's not a flu. There's also no cure, and it just hits you like a brick. you get an instant realization that no matter what happens from this point forward, is that you don't get to feel better. I've always been a picture of health. I don't drink, I don't smoke. Well, I drink like all Russians a little bit, but not like the real Russians. I didn't do anything to deserve this, I guess. I don't necessarily look all that sick. Women fake orgasms, I can fake worse Parkinson's. And I buy Parkinson's for Dummies. This is the definitive guide. It will tell me everything I want to know. And on every page, bold letters, there is no cure. By page 10, you don't want to read this book anymore. If I were to write a book on Parkinson's, I would start, there is no cure, but here's what you can do to help yourselves. So to this day, I haven't figured out a way to get a support group. I mean, what are we going to do? Get together, hold hands that are shaking and shake in rhythm? I mean, that's a dance class. That's what I do for a living. Parkinson's is actually not that bad compared to what older people are going through. Heart problems, prostate problems, intestinal problems. Oh, God. And then Viagra doesn't work sometimes. That's worse than Parkinson's. It has to be. You just type in Parkinson's cures, and you've got window after window after window of every conceivable remedy, from yak's urine to suppositories, and then just the idea of it makes you shake a little more. I read recently that you have to take coconut oil. I didn't know whether to eat it, to lick it, or sit on it. So I still haven't tried it. You have to try everything. You know, when the doctors tell you there's nothing they can do, you have to pretty much run around the block. Speaking of running, this is what works the best. See, these people have it all figured out. All these runners here. I used to look at these people and think they're freaking crazy. Who would want to run? Ha! I do. Hi. See this woman? She's got to be 100. She looks 50. That's jogging for you. Be careful of the internet cures. Some of them don't work, especially the suppositories for Parkinson's. Maybe if I was living in the village. The real fear that you live with 24 hours a day is that there is no cure, and there will be no cure in the foreseeable future. I try to do everything I can to stay as healthy as possible, and that has been the salvation. I figured out a way to keep Parkinson's as far away from me as possible. I should go on a lecture circuit and tell all the people, poor people that are suffering from Parkinson's, you know, what it is that you have to do. And you know what? The formula is pretty simple. Exercise, diet, and try to be stress-free.
Am I still on? There I am. Okay, so Alexander Tresser, and his video is called Shaken Not Stirred, and he's fairly entertaining, and he has done a few other ones, but I am guessing and assuming he is from Russia, so he gets to make jokes about drinking like a Russian, or not. But one of the reasons I'm showing you these videos today is because there's different points of view from different people about Parkinson's. And Parkinson's, I know from watching now after the last 4 years that you can live really well with Parkinson's and be really active. We have a lot of very good examples in our community. And sometimes there's trouble and there's back steps, but the other part of it is in our communities and in the places where you're at right now, in the rooms where you're at, we have people there to help when you take a step back and you need to move forward by finding something that works for you. So I mentioned medications, and there's research and things. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I'm going to talk about 3 things really quick that Dr. Aldred talked about. One of them back in February, but there's been a couple of things that have come around in the last year that have been updated, approved by the FDA. And for medications, this is one of the newer ones. Scary looking sucker, isn't it? It's a horrible picture, sorry. But it's basically like a diabetic pump that you can now have. It's been approved. About 50 Parkinson's community members, give or take, in Spokane are currently using these. And it is a pump that, again, pumps gel, the Cinemet, on an ongoing basis as you need it with the regulator outside your body. So it's a little bit more invasive than just regular medication. It helps with off times. Helps keep your on times on longer, off times gone, hopefully. But again, it is inserted into your skin, so there is chance if you are not able to take care of the site where that goes in, that there's chances for infections and things. But this is a newer option. Instead of having to take medication 3, 4, 5 times a day, 12, 14 pills, different things. There's lots of different combinations. This is a new one. And let's see, on our calendar on the 19th, the company's name is Apathy. There's a representative that will be at the Parkinson's Resource Center with the pump and a bunch of information at 5:30 on the 19th of August. Again, there's kind of a small number, only 50 or so people in Spokane alone who are using that right now, or in the Northwest. But if it's something you would be interested in finding out more about, it's another option for us with Parkinson's and medications that can maybe help not having to take so many pills, because some people just don't want to do that. But on the side of the pills, this is the one that Dr. Aldred talked about back in February, and I never know if I'm pronouncing it right. So Rytary, I think, is how you pronounce it, and I think I've heard it pronounced several different ways. But again, this is not necessarily a new drug. It is a new delivery system, like Duopa is a delivery system. This is a new delivery system that makes it so that there is an extended release for the carbidopa-levodopa treatment for Parkinson's. So again, their goal is with most of these to try and reduce the amount of off times on your medication. And now, so what's an off time? That time in between when your medication kicks in full bore and then starts to wear off, and when you can take your next dose of medication. So that's what this one is also. They're trying to reduce those times. Deep brain stimulation surgery also works at trying to do that. Reducing the amount of medication, one, and reducing off time. So Rytary. And then the last one, this is an interesting one, and I don't know how many have heard about this. I know of one person who's using it. It's not out there in mass yet. I know one person who's using it, and I'm sure there's more, but that I've actually seen her use the EpiPen to use it and then have it work. And this Aprilena is how it's pronounced. And Aprilena is a dosage that you can actually dose into your leg, just like if you would if you had a B reaction or something, and you give yourself that EpiPen shot. And within about 20 minutes, it helps relieve your off symptoms. And it's not for everybody, but it's another option. And I think with this one, if I remember right, and I'm not going to go through and read, I think you can use it up to 5 times per day. So having other options to make our medications work better, longer, we always like those. Okay. And then this last video, this is out of Houston, and I'm going to go ahead and this one's about 10 minutes, little over 10 minutes long.
I was a real big walker then. I walked every morning with someone in the neighborhood. And Jim and I would walk at night, and I just noticed that my right arm would not swing. It just hung at my side. And I started to notice my handwriting was like a little scribble. You know, I'd send letters to people, and they'd say, "What's wrong with your handwriting?" Whoops. I started hiding from people because I didn't want them to see that I had something wrong with me, because I didn't know what it was, and it was a pretty bad time.
I was a regular guy and competitive and worked in the corporate environment, and things started to change as the disease, as once we found out about the disease and the disease progressed.
Well, you know, it's actually kind of hard to really remember exactly what happened that day because of all the emotions that were going on. I didn't really know what a movement specialist was. I was thinking it was probably more like a PT or something that I was going to see to get more exercises to do for my leg. Well, I remember getting off the elevator and seeing the sign that said Parkinson's Disorder Center, Movement and Disorder Center, and I thought,
I was happy-go-lucky. My life was full of song and dance, and I just always enjoyed life. And then one day I was singing for a birthday party in the nursing home, playing my guitar, and all of a sudden my hand just was not hitting the string, and I was standing there in front of all these people, you know, that had been awakened from their nap time to hear me sing, and I was standing there and I couldn't deliver what they were there for. And I went home and put my guitar down, and I didn't pick it up for years.
I went to my doctor and I was pulling my hair out, and I thought I had heart problems.
He decided to go see a psychologist because it seemed like he was having a lot of anxiety.
We talked for a while, and he said, "I can prescribe you medicine. I can do whatever you want." And in a matter of first 5 minutes we talked, he said, "You need to see a neurologist."
I got an appointment right away, and with a neurologist. Just told him, you know, what my symptoms were, and he could see my tremor. He just basically said, "Yeah, I think, you know, this is what you have." Simple as that.
I really did not discover the symptoms. It was my brother. He noticed that I was holding my purse like a little old lady, and he said, "Something's wrong with you. You know, you should go see a doctor." Then I began to notice that when I drove long distances, my muscles seemed tired. And I did go to a neurologist. He said I had Parkinson's. That's how it all got started.
They checked my balance. They pushed me back, had me walk, and apparently my arm wasn't swinging, so that was another classic sign that I had Parkinson's.
We were just sitting at the kitchen, around the kitchen table, and said, "I've got Parkinson's," and it was just kind of like, well, what does that mean? You know, you're just blindsided. It's not what you expect your husband to come home after a day of work in your 40s that, "Oh, I've got this disease."
You never have to explain it because I cannot explain it to myself to begin with. You know, they will say, "Why me?"
He started shaking very badly. And that's when I realized that it's going to be a lot of work. But I'm okay. I'm his wife, and I know we've been together for 52 years. So it's okay with me.
I was most worried about the future, the long term, what's going to happen to Debbie and even our relationship as a husband and a wife. How will this impact us? How bad will it be? What's the future look like?
Just scared of the future, scared of what does this mean? Can you take her to school in the morning, or can you pick her up, or, you know, are you going to be here to help with college, or, you know, what's going to happen?
Then I started doing research, and all these terms like no cure, medication stops working.
The first time we went to the doctor together, that was pretty strange because we were the youngest people in the waiting room.
There's something great in knowing that you're making a difference, you know, that you're able to assess a need and you know, fill it. Of course, this is very easy for me to say that, you know, hey, it's Parkinson's. It's not the end of the world.
You know, I say, you may look at somebody and go, oh my gosh, they've had 20 years with this disease. Eventually, you're going to look at them and go, oh my gosh, they've had 20 years with this disease. And 20 years lets you see your children graduate from college, and lets you see your children have their children, and it lets you see their children get through high school and graduate high school. This person has had Parkinson's for 20 years, and they're still going to groups, and they're still doing the things that they love to do, and they're still engaged with their family and friends, and they still have a life full of challenges, but it's still a life. And I think that in any case, that beats the alternative.
I mean, just taking the medicine, or the honeymoon phase, or whatever they call it, was so great. For a couple of years, you know, it was like great. I could do anything. I remember being so excited because I could fix my hair and button buttons and get dressed, and it was great.
You know, having Parkinson's, it's no picnic, but I feel like it's part of my destiny, and having the opportunity to share it with people has been a blessing to me.
Life can still be of a high quality. A lot of it is a state of mind. You can inspire yourself and also inspire others. A lot of good people with my connection now that I feel good about the future.
Maybe part of it is getting older too, but without the Parkinson's, I would not have stopped to smell the roses near as much. You know, I'm reaching for some goal, but the goal's right there, and it's every day and every moment. And the Parkinson's, Debbie's Parkinson's, has certainly helped me recognize that.
For a while, I was in a wheelchair because I have back problems too. My sons came over, and they looked so sad, you know, to see me in a wheelchair, and I thought, I am not going to be a sad person in a wheelchair. I'm going to be happy, because I don't want my sons to think that everybody in a wheelchair is you know, sad.
I've become a research advocate for Parkinson's disease. I'm not just sitting around with this disease and waiting for what's going to come next, that I can be proactive and help myself and help others to find a cure for this.
I created Playing for Parkinson's in 2010, and when I was diagnosed, my friend Michael Young, he wrote this letter, and it was the most beautiful letter I've ever read. He talked about our friendship, what it meant to him. We sent this letter just to my family and friends, and raised $8,000. And before I knew it, I'd gotten a hold of my guitar teacher, and we raised $15,000 the first year. And I said I can do better than that this year, and I raised $30,000 last year. If I sit there and feel sorry for myself, I'll just be 10 times more miserable than I am. So I decided to do something about it.
My tremors is the only symptom I have that really bothers me, but I've still cut my husband's hair. It looks pretty good. This isn't going on tape, is it? You want my Parkinson song?
Yeah.
Oh, sitting down. Okay, I'm nice. I've got the big P, but it don't have me. That's one thing for sure. I was born to fight and I was born to win, and I won't be giving in. Now I might shake and I might stumble, but you can bet that I'll never crumble. I can still sing and I can still dance and wear my happy pants. Now I might be slowing, but I'm still going. I'm not ready to quit. I see before me another mountain to climb, and I got plenty of time. And I'll spare you the yodeling. My name is Dottie Visosky, and I am the face of Parkinson's.
My name is Guillermo Reyes, and I'm the face of Parkinson's.
My name is Kathy Smith, and I am the face of Parkinson's.
My name is Marilyn Meese, and I'm the face of Parkinson's.
My name is Dorothy Wong, and I am the face of Parkinson's.
I'm Ray Wilson, and I am the face of Parkinson.
My name is Kathleen Christ, and I am the face of Parkinson's.
My name is Debbie Hurlbert, and I am the face of Parkinson's.
My name is Jim Hurlbert, and I am the face of Parkinson's.
My name is Doug Benzuli, and I am the face of Parkinson's.
My name is Cindy Sather, and I am the face of Parkinson's.
So if you had any trouble hearing that due to the volume, I apologize. It's if you would like to write it down, it's I am the face of Parkinson's, and it's on YouTube, and it is it's easier sometimes. That's why I give you the name of who created it or who's the producer. And on that one, it's from cut to create, but it is from the it is from the Houston area. And so one of the reasons I show things like that is because it shows so many different faces, and it's so like our community here, and even in this room and in the rooms that you're in, is Parkinson's has a bunch of different faces, from those with Parkinson's to spouses, to families, to support group leaders. But the goal is, until there's a cure, and we're all working towards that in some way, whether it's keeping people active or doing research or whatever, we're all working towards finding a cure. But until that day happens, we're also working at having full, long lives. And watching that video reminded me of probably the most asked question, or the most asked topic. It's not even asked, but I'll get a call from a spouse that says, hi, my husband would like to do more. Okay, well, we have tremble clefs. Oh, what does that mean? That's singing. Oh, he doesn't want to sing. Oh, well, we have dancing. Dance for Parkinson's. Oh, well, he doesn't want to dance. Okay, well, we have a support group. He doesn't want to do a support group. She said, and they have said many times, that he doesn't want to do much of anything, or she doesn't want to do much of anything. And one of the things that wasn't on the list there that we didn't talk about is that Parkinson's has a built-in apathy. That's one of the things that I didn't see on the list. Apathy, lack of wanting to do things. And if you know somebody who's diagnosed with Parkinson's but not getting out in the community, I think it's all of our jobs to show that being active is an option. But remembering that not wanting to do things is built into the disease. And so if you know somebody with Parkinson's who doesn't want to get out, show them these videos if they want to see them. Give them a PD 101. Give them the calendar and let them know that they're not committing to anything except for getting out and being active. And activity is the one thing we know that helps slow the progression of Parkinson's. In this room, I'm not a doctor, so that's not medically, but we're all here, and we all raise money at the Parkinson's Resource Center to provide things to keep everybody going and living full and active lives. So with that being said, I'm almost done. September, we are welcoming Kaya. She is going to be our speaker for next month, and she is going to do a shortened mini live Tai Chi class here with us. So next month, come to your location and be ready to do some Tai Chi. So we're looking forward to that. And then the Tai Chi class will start the next Wednesday. Here in the Spokane area, the Tai Chi for that class, you sign up through the Spokane Community College's Act 2 program. And it's $16, I think, for the full quarter course. So it's very inexpensive, but if you need help with that, let me know. But it will be at the Parkinson's Resource Center. It'll be on the calendar. And then in September, everything starts back up. So tremble clefs, music is still going. Tremble clefs, the Dance for PD. But the Parkinson's Power Summit, again, it's a one-day education opportunity that brings 300 plus people into a room, getting to chance to show how you can have the opportunities to live full and active lives with Parkinson's. So if you would like to unmute your mics, because you're probably getting tired of listening to me. I'm getting tired of listening to me. I'll start from the top. Anchorage, Alaska.
Hi there. We don't have any questions, so I think it's a better question. Nope, that was very comprehensive. Thank you.
Thank you. How many do you have today?
7.
10. Thank you very much.
7.
Oh,
7.
okay. 7. Sorry.
Right. Bye.
Thank you. Billings, Montana. Oh, they're not on the list. Well, maybe they're there. Maybe they snuck in. Clarkston, Tri-State.
13.
Hello, John.
There's 13 of us.
Thank you, John. Coeur d'Alene. Kootenai Medical Center. Colville, Mount Providence. Excuse me, Providence, Mount Carmel. Wow, that was funny. Sorry. Miles City, Montana.
Is right there.
There you go.
Sorry about Coeur d'Alene being late.
Oh, that's okay. Hi, Coeur d'Alene. How many are there?
3 because of construction. They're out wandering around. They're still not here yet. Just
They're, it's a beautiful day to wander if you have to, though. Thank you very much. Miles City, Montana.
There are 8 of us here today, and we have no questions. It was a great program.
Thank you very much, Miles City. Moses Lake.
There's 7 of us here presently, and we had one earlier that left. They thought you were going to do the program, so they left.
Yep. Hey, I said, if you don't want to listen to me for an hour, you better leave now.
Now, what of my jokes did you hear that I shouldn't have said earlier?
Oh, none, actually. No, we
okay.
didn't. And
so I'm clear.
You're clear. You, there's no trouble on the joke.
Excellent program. You did an outstanding job, Cindy. And I don't think we have any questions, do we? Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you in a month, right?
Correct.
Okay, and I guess on a side note, that's Steve from Moses Lake. And one of the questions that they had as they were coming into Spokane for the Power Summit in a month is about hotel rooms. The casino is sold out on Friday night. There are a list. I will be sending out the last mailing for the Power Summit and some other things. There are 5 hotels in Airway Heights that do shuttle directly with the Northern Quest Resort and Casino. And if you are getting a room, there is a possibility that they do a partner discount because they are full, and they do recommend. So if you are coming into Spokane in the outlying areas and you want to get a hotel room, make sure you mention that you're at Northern Quest for an event, but they are sold out, and you might get a better deal.
We're going to stay at your house, so we need the address.
I have space. So, I have this huge backyard. I have this huge, well, it's pretty big too now that all my kids are graduated, but I have these 2 dogs that will not leave you alone. They will sleep on you.
I think I'll stay with a motel.
Okay.
Thank you.
They're very sweet. I'll bring pictures. Okay, thank you. Pendleton. And Pullman.
There's one person here this time. No questions.
Thank you for joining us today. Down in Pullman, Moscow area, Dr. Aldred will be speaking on Wednesday the 26th at 6 p.m. at the Best Western on Pullman Street or Pullman Avenue in Moscow. So I'll be putting that on the calendar as well. But just to let you know there in Pullman that you will have an opportunity to hear Dr. Aldred pretty close if you would like. And Richland.
We have 8 with us today.
Thank you very much, Richland. I hope that things are going well. Tenasket.
Yes, there's 3 of us today, but the gentleman in Moses Lake, I'd like to invite him to come here for his humor tour, his comedy tour, and that's a joke, sir. Anyway, what a good example of good humor. I appreciate it.
Oh, good. Well, so you must have heard some of his jokes when we weren't hearing him.
Oh, I just heard the cute one about people not leaving because you were doing the presentation. But anyway, it's a good time to show sense of humor.
It is. You know, I've gotten to be in your town twice in the last month, in your beautiful little area, and I'm planning on coming up there more. So
okay.
Next time I do, hopefully I'll get to meet you for both work and fun. How's that?
All right.
And Walla Walla.
Here to
Cool. Hello.
To listen.
No.
No questions. Okay. And Spokane, do we have any questions? I see some sleeping people, so probably not. I'm teasing. They're not sleeping. They're close to it, though, so we better go. Again, everything on the website should be updated hopefully by tonight. I just want to let everybody know who's here and who's not here. Please share with them that you're really important, you really matter, and we're very thankful that you're here and that you spend your time with us when talking about Parkinson's. And hopefully today was a little bit more uplifting than not. Thank you very much.